Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to Podcastage. Today I'm back with a review of a couple of effects microphones.
I apologize, I legitimately cannot help but speak in that transatlantic accent whenever I talk into the Carbonphone. It's inevitable. It will happen. But the microphones that we're looking at today are the Placid Audio Copperphone Mini, which is $315, and the Placid Audio Carbonphone RU80, and this costs $300. And if you are interested in either of these microphones, I will throw links in the description down below. And in the sake of full disclosure, I do need to let you know that I bought both of these microphones directly from Placid Audio at a slight discount for the sake of doing this review. And for this review, I will have both microphones connected directly to the Focusrite 18i20 2nd Gen 24-bit 48 kHz. For the Copperphone Mini, my gain is set at around 415 or 430.
And then for the Carbonphone, I have 48 volts phantom power turned on, and my gain is set at around 1030. I will not do any kind of post-processing for either of these microphones, but I may have to boost it a little bit in post, so check the doobly-doo to see what I diddly did. And now let's talk about what comes in the box, but I did not get one, so we have a stand-in box. You're going to get the microphone and a little bit of documentation, and that's it.
Then as far as the build quality of these microphones, they both feel absolutely outstanding. I believe the entire casing is solid brass. The brackets are also really nicely machined. You do have a 5/8" threading on both of the mounts, and all around they feel incredibly robust and durable. And if the manufacturing location matters to you, all of Placid Audio's microphones are hand-built in the USA. Then as far as the specs, for the Copperphone Mini, it has a cardioid polar pattern, a frequency response of 200 Hz to 1.4 kHz, and an impedance of 150 ohms.
And then the Carbonphone also has a cardioid polar pattern, a frequency response of 50 Hz to 10 kHz, an impedance of 150 ohms, and a phantom power requirement of plus 48 volts. I really don't think we need to do any of these tests, but I'm rotating around the Carbonphone to 90 degrees so you can hear the off-axis rejection and coloration. We'll continue around to 180 degrees. There you go. Continuing around to the second side and then ending at the front of the microphone.
And then on the Copperphone Mini, rotating around to 90 degrees, there you go. Then going around to 180 degrees, that's the rear. Continuing around to the second 90-degree angle, and then ending at the front of the microphone. And now let's test the plosive rejection on both of these microphones. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto.
And on the Carbonphone, please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now I'm right on top of the Carbonphone to see what kind of proximity effect this thing has. About 3 inches off of the Carbonphone, and here is how it sounds. About 1 foot away from the Carbonphone, 2 feet away from the Carbonphone, and about 4 feet away from the Carbonphone.
Now I am right on top of the Copperphone to see what kind of proximity effect this microphone has, which is pretty much none. Then about 3 inches away from the Copperphone, and here's how it sounds. 1 foot away from the Copperphone, 2 feet away from the Copperphone, and about 4 feet away from the Placid Audio Copperphone Mini. And now I'm typing on a keyboard with Gateron blue switches to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard the Copperphone Mini picks up. And the sad W keys.
And now I'm typing on my keyboard with Gateron blue switches to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard the Carbonphone picks up. And in case any gamers are going to be doing it now, I am typing on the sad W keys.
And now let's see how well this mounting system rejects shock. So I'll go ahead and tap on my desk to see how much of that it rejects. And then on the boom arm.
Also, we need to see how well the provided mount and microphone as a whole reject shocks. So I will go ahead and tap on my desk to see how much of that it rejects. and on the boom arm.
And then for the sake of being pedantic, I'll go ahead and tap on the outside of this, and then on the body to see if there are any kind of resonant frequencies.
And like we always do, I'll tap on the body of the microphone to see if there are any kind of resonant frequencies.
Now, normally right here in my videos, I will do a couple more tests and also do a bunch of comparisons against the microphone's competition, but being that these are so unique, I don't think the other tests or the comparisons add much value, so we'll just cut to something that I think is interesting for these, and we'll jump to the music test. Something to say. I ate some pizza today, and it doesn't matter much to me as long as I'm fed.
Sweet lovely death, I am waiting for your breath. Come sweet death, one last caress. First off, Glenn Danzig, I apologize profusely for destroying and ruining your song. Secondly, YouTube, this is what we call a parody. So please do not copyright strike, please do not demonetize, and please do not kick me off of your platform. Thank you so much. Let's go to the conclusion now.
Okay, I will admit up front, I have no idea how to approach reviewing these microphones because they are so unique and they are so specialized. They're effect microphones. How do you make a generalized review about effect microphones? Let's give it a go. So let's try to start with the pros. Both of these microphones give you an insanely unique sound. With the Copperphone Mini, you may be able to recreate that with an EQ in your DAW, but the Carbonphone, I don't think you're going to be able to recreate that. That is an incredibly unique and very specific sound. You need an actual carbon element to get that, I believe. Secondly, the microphones are incredibly well built, and I always like to see it. Both of the microphones are hand-built in the USA. And then as far as cons, that's where I really struggled with this because I can't fault them for much. You may be thinking, oh, but they sound so bad. That's intentional. They're intentionally made to sound like that. The only thing I can really fault either microphone for is the spring buzz that I found on the Copperphone Mini. I think once they address that, then they function as advertised. And then as far as my overall thoughts and opinions of these microphones, on the electric guitar, I liked both of them quite a lot. The Copperphone Mini, when I heard that, I thought I would use this on the introduction to a song, and then when the full band kicks in, switch to a regular microphone of 57, whatever you want to use. And then on the Carbonphone, holy smokes. I heard this thing and I wanted to go find some gutter punks and start a hardcore punk band. It's that fuzzy, it's that gritty. I absolutely loved it and I was not expecting to. So the Carbonphone was unique and I loved it on the electric guitar. Then on the acoustic guitar, it's the exact same story on the Copperphone Mini. I would use it during the intro to a song or during a break in the song where I really want to reduce the energy, and then when the full band kicks back in or when I want the song to hit again, I would switch back to a regular microphone. But as far as the Carbonphone on the acoustic, I wasn't a fan of it. I found it to be way too sputtery sounding and just didn't work well, in my opinion, so I will not be using the Carbonphone for that. Next up for singing, it's the exact same thing with the Copperphone. Again, use it in a part of the song where you want an attenuated energy, and then when you want everything to kick back in and get into high gear, if you will, switch to a regular microphone. And then the Carbonphone, this one was interesting. I did find it difficult to understand my lyrics, what I was singing, and I found it a bit muddy sounding. But then when I listened back to it, I could envision a very specific use case for this, and maybe it's inspired by V's Underground Lair in V for Vendetta, but I think this would be perfect to put a solo jazz vocalist in front of, and then play that audio back through a jukebox for a movie. I just think that would work perfectly. So that's what I would use it for. And lastly, for spoken word, I really wasn't a big fan of the Copperphone Mini. I simply don't know what application I would really use it for, unless you're going for that low-passed and high-passed sound. Maybe you could use this in a movie as a prop. I'm not sure. But for spoken word, really not my favorite application, but I did love it for music. But as far as the Carbonphone, again, I did find it a little bit difficult to understand. It wasn't the greatest with intelligibility, but when I speak into it, I automatically adopt that transatlantic accent because it sounds like it should be used in a 1920s, 1930s AM radio broadcast. If that's the kind of effect you're going for, I don't think you could recreate that with effects in a DAW, because you have an actual carbon element in this microphone which creates that fuzziness and sputteriness and all that 1920s vintage goodness, which is what I really enjoyed about it. I'm not going to use it in situations where I need the utmost intelligibility, but as a fun effect, I really enjoyed it. And to wrap up, would I recommend the Copperphone Mini or the Carbonphone RU80? Yes, I would. And I am saying yes for a very specific reason. I don't think anybody listened to the samples of these microphones and remained on the fence. Either they said, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I have been looking for, I need it for this specific application, or they said, that's stupid, I don't want that at all. If you are somebody who is sitting there saying this is dumb, don't buy it. But if you are somebody who is saying, I need this for this specific application, I think they're pretty rad. They give you that really unique sound, and I really enjoy using the Copperphone in particular because I have no way that I can think of to recreate this digitally. This is an all-analog carbon sound. Really interesting set of microphones and a lot of fun to play with. And that's going to wrap up for today, but I want to hear from you. What would you use these microphones for? What kind of effect would you be using these microphones to achieve? Let me know in the comments down below because I think that will be really fascinating. If you found this video fun, interesting, or helpful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, give me a big old thumbs down. If you want more videos, subscribe, click that logo down beneath me. And if you want to support the channel and become one of these amazing people over here, you can do so by clicking that join button or joining on Patreon at the $5 tier or higher. Patreon.com/podcastage. All of these wonderful people really do help me continue to bring you these videos and buy really interesting, unique microphones like this to share with you. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel, and thank you for coming by and watching and listening. I appreciate you so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will talk to you on a later date. Bye.